Top 10.
Thrones, one of the most important royal symbols. Today we count down the top 10 African thrones.
Number 10.
In Mozambique, a number of modern artists have taken up the noble goal of transforming weapons of war into symbols of peace. Despite not being the seat of any actual king, these make the list not only because of their underlying philosophy, but for their particular use of decommissioning weapons so that they can never take another life. Mozambique suffered through a long and brutal civil war which ended in 1992. Tons and tons of weapons from this war are brought to the capital city of Maputo and distributed to artists like Cristóvão Cavato and Goncalo Mabunda, who reshape these various guns, bullets, and bombs into spectacular works of art. But only one throne can take the number 10 spot. Will it be Cristóvão Cavato's throne of weapons or Goncalo Mabunda's weapon throne? Being that the overall mission of each art is the same, I chose based on aesthetics and went with Mabunda's weapon throne for its more expressive and dramatic gaze. Mabunda lost both friends and family to the war. When talking about his art, he said, "This is important not only for Mozambique, but for the whole world. You can use the same weapons to make something useful, and not to kill."
Number 9.
Moving on to historical thrones, I had another struggle to decide on for this spot. Do I go with King Gezo's throne from the Kingdom of Dahomey, or King Tutankhamun's throne from Kemet, nowadays known as Egypt? What I like about both of these thrones is their curved seats that remind me of the stools of Ghana. But I think we'll have to save Gezo's throne for another video because I felt that ancient Kemet deserves a spot on this list. Some may be wondering why I picked this throne known as the ecclesiastical throne over Tutankhamun's other more famous gold throne. Well, besides my general affinity to root for the underdog, I just like the overall design of this one more. The back of this seat features alternating panels of ebony and ivory live together in perfect harmony. If you're hearing this song, please don't sue me, 'cause it technically counts as parody. Anyway, the throne's legs mimic the look of a folding chair for purely aesthetic reasons, and its seat is decorated with decidedly non-royal imitation cowhide design. But its kingly status is illuminated by the royal symbols of the many snakes crowned with sun discs and the large vulture at the center. Above the vulture is a large sun representing the god Aten.
Number 8.
We got another competition for the number 8 spot. Both royal chairs come from Tanzania. A Luguru throne or a Nyamwe throne. Beauty or the Beast. It's hard to choose, but I say we go beast mode. The Nyamwe was one of the thrones I had in mind when I first made this list, whereas I had forgotten about the Luguru thrones. To be fair, I hadn't seen this beautiful example before. The one I had forgotten about was this less intense and less curvaceous throne. Seriously, look at those curves. She's got curves for days. That said, there's a reason why the Nyamwe throne has been stuck in my mind for years. Look at it. Look at it. Those weird beady eyes, literally made of beads, will stick in your mind for eternity. During the 18th and 19th centuries, vast trading networks linked the Swahili ports with peoples who lived in the lands along the lakes and rivers of the Great Rift Valley. The various kingdoms and communities, collectively known as the Nyamwe, controlled much of this trade when it came to western Tanzania. And perhaps that's why we see those same glass bead eyes on art from another people of Tanzania, known as the Pare. When seen from the front, the Nyamwe throne's head and hands seem to merge into the body of the chair, but a rear view reveals an elongated body. The elder or leader who sat upon this throne would be embraced by ancestral authority.
Number 7.
No competition needed here. Though there are other lively and colorful Yoruba thrones, this one is an exceptional work of art made by one of Nigeria's most celebrated artists, Olowe of Ise. Its colors may be faded from time, but we can still admire the amazing sculptural work of this artist whose accomplishments are still to this day recounted in poetry. Various members of the king's court are present in this throne's imagery, such as wives of the king, the royal orchestra, and more. This throne was made during the colonial era, and as a result of that, one part of this throne that stands out in particular is a British officer being transported in a hammock. The clever artist Olowe placed this image on the arms of the chair, where the arms and hands of a powerful African leader would rest above the image of a European power. Olowe carved a similar commentary about the powers that be on a famous door of the palace at Akiri.
Number 6.
Next up we have the ofoh accom, credited to the artist king, Fan Yu, from the Kom Kingdom of Cameroon. I recently discovered in a new book that he had help from 2 other artists when making this sculpture. Their names are Ngua Feng and Bobe Cha, whose talent in mask carving earned him the title of Father of Masks. Holy crap, that's a cool title. I need to learn more about that guy. This throne was originally part of a set that included 6 other sculptures. Unlike the thrones we've discussed so far, no living person sits on this royal seat. The ofoh accom was made as a self-portrait of Fan Yu, and it now serves as an ancestral memorial. The red beads that cover the ofoh accom recall the red camwood powder that covers the body of a fawn during his enthronement, which can be seen in this photograph of Kom King Jinabo II. The ofoh accom is so important that when it was stolen in the 1960s, it is said that its absence threatened the very existence of the Kom people. Luckily, Fan Yu's throne was eventually returned to its people, which unfortunately isn't the case for many other African artworks that were stolen in history.
Number 5.
Decisions. Do we go with this luxurious modern Benin throne or a more traditional one? I gotta go with the traditional one. The craftsmanship on this thing is just impeccable, plus other reasons I'll get into in a minute. But first, Oba Er Diawa, who reigned from 1923 to 2016, has a modern throne that has not been detailed in any art book that I've seen, probably due to its relative newness. I just want to take a quick sec to point out all the imagery on it. The faces on it are of Benin Queen Mothers. The animals on it include elephant, leopard, and the paradise flycatcher bird. There are also tusks, which are traditionally placed on the royal Benin heads that would rest near or on top of a palace altar. Plus, we get to see 2 styles of Benin swords. The one on the left is called an Ada, and the one on the right is one of my favorite African swords, known as an Eben. Lastly, a Benin crown is seen at the center of the throne. Alrighty, let's get back to the older Nigerian throne of Oba Er Sonyen. This throne has 2 seats because this throne can be turned upside down. One seat references the earth and sky, while the reverse seat depicts the ocean, realm of the sea god Alakon and other spirits. The large snake between these 2 worlds is likely a messenger of Alakon. All of the symbols together combine to form a message saying that the Oba is the king of all dimensions of the cosmos. How is there anything higher on this list? What am I, nuts? Oh yeah, I kinda am.
Number 4.
We head back to Cameroon for this pick, this time to the Bamam Kingdom to look at Nsangu's and Njoya's thrones. Both thrones are nearly identical, so we'll give Nsangu's throne the spot for reasons of seniority. The twins at the back of the throne refer to real twins that would guard the king's burial ground and oversee coronations. Their headdresses have a frog motif pattern, which alludes to fertility and increase. On that same note, the female twin carries a bowl, which is symbolic of a womb, and the male's drinking horn is a metaphor for a penis. Yup, there's a lot of phallic imagery in art history, get used to it. The prominence of these symbols shows the king as a productive father of his people. There are also two smaller warrior figures carrying flintlock guns. Below them are members of the court, such as counselors and senior servants in the court governance. The middle of the throne features a double-headed serpent in reference to one of Njoya's ancestors. On the side of the footrest are spiders, which are symbolic of prophetic insight, good judgment, and wisdom. The cowries that texture much of the throne are my favorite symbol here because they allude to the king's duty to his people to bring them prosperity. Of course, another reason I like the throne so much is because it's so dang colorful.
Number 3.
The Luba people once had an empire in the Democratic Republic of Congo. They had many great artists, but who is the best? Usually the artist known as the Master of Bully gets the most fame, but today the Warua Master wins the number 3 spot on this list for this absolutely beautiful stool. You may notice another stool that's spinning around. That's a series of photos I took of a Luba stool in Washington, D.C.'s Smithsonian African Art Museum. But just because I photographed it doesn't mean it gets to be on this list. But I will show it off regardless, because when the hell else will I have an opportunity to show off these photos? Plus, I find Warua's abstraction on the human form more fascinating than the one I saw at the Smithsonian. These royal stools are a prominent part of a new ruler's oath of office. This was not just an object of political authority, but a receptacle for the ruler's soul. It was rarely seen in public because it's not so much meant for the human eyes as it was meant for the eyes of the spirit realm.
Number 2.
The first thing that came to my mind when I thought up this list is the Golden Stool, Sika Dwa Kofi, the throne of the Asante, aka Ashanti people of Ghana. Legend says on a certain Friday in the year 1701, the Asante founder, the first King Asantehene Osei Tutu, was sitting under a tree when suddenly a thunderstorm of epic proportions raged in the sky. But then, the heavens burst forth, and sailing on a white cloud of dust was the Golden Stool, which descended from the sky to rest on Osei Tutu's lap. This was a gift from Nyamwe, the sky god. Osei Tutu's priest, Okamfo Anokai, interpreted the stool as embodying the spirit of the entire Asante nation. The gold of the throne represents the sun and symbolizes life's vital force known as Kra. So sacred was this stool that it could never touch the ground. It sits upon a chair higher than the king himself. A throne upon a throne.
Number 1.
Dazonge Te. You are looking at a stone throne. This is no joke. You are not about to be rickrolled. I don't know if I can convince you to agree with my choice. I'm not even sure if most African researchers care for this thing, considering that it's super hard to find info on it anywhere, besides the book I first encountered it in. I don't even think telling you the legend of the half-human being Dazongma who first sat upon this throne will even help that much. But let's look at some details at the very least, and maybe I can try to explain why I find this stone throne so fascinating. These types of stone thrones, called gablu, are used by the Dongme people of Ghana. Thrones made of stone seem to have been common in this region of Africa long ago. This specific stone throne, known as Dazonge Te, gets its name from a goddess of water named Dazonge. She lives in a lagoon near where a town called Ningo was built. Legend says that the stone throne Dazonge Te contains all of the people's secrets who live in Ningo. In other words, the Dazonge Te embodies mystery, and in my mind, the Dazonge Te has become a sort of symbol for the beautiful mystery that is the African continent. Because no matter how much I learn about Africa, There are always more secrets to explore. Thank you so much for watching, my friends, and if you enjoy learning with us, please subscribe for more. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I look forward to reading them.